Hi, this is Joan, and you're looking at a still from Mag Ugly Truth's video, What You Need to Know About the White Power Sign Exposed. Now, as a general rule, I have no disagreements with Mag Ugly Truth. I like the way he talks, and he gets right to the point. To me, it's kind of like somebody who's hammering something in, and they don't miss and hit around the nail, they hit directly on the nail, which I appreciate because I think it saves time. But in any case, I was looking at this video yesterday, and Meg was saying that this young man you see in the middle here, up at the top in the back row, he's being censored for making that sign he's making with his hand because it's being said that it is the white power sign. And Mag Bitter Truth is disagreeing, and I'm agreeing with Mag Bitter Truth. I've seen that sign all my life. When I was coming up, it was called the AOK sign. Then more recently, I found out that it has an occult meaning, which is it means 366, as in Revelations, and that is a reference to the Antichrist system. So, to me, when you look at this picture here, it would have to, at least it looks very much like it had to be staged. That is, they can say they didn't know this person was doing this, but, or maybe he just decided that since I'm going to be standing right in front of the picture of George Washington, I can stand at the end so that it looks like he's pointing at my head. And I don't know, it seems like the photographer might have noticed that, and also the fact that it is a symbol for the Antichrist system. I think it's kind of excuse me, I can't see how that could be coincidental that it's in front of the first president, a picture of the first president of the United States. Now, I don't remember George Washington's hand being in this position, so I don't know if that's a shadow or what, but it looks like he's making the sign of the Baphomet while at the same time pointing to this young man's to this young man. So, like I said, I think that it looks to me like it should have been, like it might have been staged, and that this young man is standing in the middle. He's the only one not frowning. Everybody except for the man to his left is has a thumb up as if they're in support of him making the 3-6 sign. However, I admit that that is open to question. I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me. But when I was finished looking at his video, I looked down, at least I asked a question. And my question is, have you noticed how everything points to Chicago? Now, I asked that because this particular young man, in the middle of the picture with George Washington doing the Baphomet over his head, it mentioned that, the news report mentioned that he came from a suburb of Chicago. So I thought, you know what, everybody seems to have some kind of link to Chicago. And that's what I asked Mag. Have you noticed how everything points to Chicago? So he replied, as well as a few other people, and one of the replies, one of the replies had a link. And so I went to the link, and this is what it was. Now, she said, look, okay, this video is called Ancient Bloodlines, Contemporary Power, and it's on Professor Hamamoto's channel, and in it, he is interviewing this lady right here. Her name is Lauren Murray, and basically she's saying that at this point, she's pointing at this woman who was an official at I think University of California or something like that, at Davis. She's stating that this woman's parents, as well as a lot of other important and high-ranking people in the United States, were refugees who came through Chicago. That is, they came here to Chicago and they were hooked up with really good jobs, and the jobs usually had something to do with radiation or food production, and basically they seem to have something to do with something New World Order. And New World Order seems to be about, I mean, and those who know better can correct me, but it seems to be about killing as many people as efficiently as possible. Also, this lady talks about her career. She uncovered a plan to eliminate a lot of people in the cities. And while she was looking at that plan, she discovered that a lot of these people are coming from similar bloodlines, and that they interbreed so closely that if you look at people you wouldn't suspect is coming from an ancient bloodline, like Fidel Castro, if you look at him and you compare him to an old picture of, I think, Pope Henry II, I'm not really sure, but it's one of the popes. If you compare the pictures, you're really amazed at how similar they are, and that even weddings that we take for granted are just people who just happen to meet and fall in love, like for the really old school people, the Prince of Monaco and Grace Kelly. You think that that's what it was, but actually it was the intermingling of ancient bloodlines who managed to cross oceans. For instance, if you had two sons and one went back to Africa and the other one stayed here, and they each had 200 years to have some kids, then at some point one of them crossed the ocean and found a mate, and unless people had really good records, they wouldn't recognize that these two were actually cousins from way far back. That's what she's stating. That a lot of these things, you look at the people getting married and you think it's just coincidental. It's not. It's bloodlines. Everything is bloodline. And it reminds me of the old saying, the apple never falls far from the tree. Well, everything she's saying, including the talk about how they're going to, how the plan is to, surround the city, not just one city, pretty much all cities, and to starve out the inhabitants until they comply with New World Order demands. This has happened in the Bible. There were sieges, and this happened specifically to God's people. And the reason why I'm saying it happened specifically to God's people is because she's saying they plan on doing this in the cities. And I do believe that if you look at Deuteronomy 26, 27, and 28, where it talks about the curses, these apply to African Americans and also Africans. Now, I don't agree with the Hebrew Israelites who talk about, well, everybody who isn't white is a Hebrew. Pretty much is what they're saying. And I think that the ulterior motive is that they want their women. But I don't agree with that, because if you look back at the curses, they don't apply to everyone. They really specifically apply to African Americans or blacks in this country and in some parts of Africa. Also, even if you even look at recent news about Chicago, where they want to bring UN troops, they haven't said anything at all about sending them to Hispanics, or if there are any. It's a small population, I think, of Native Americans on the north side. They didn't say anything about them. They haven't said anything about Italians, Asians, anybody. They specifically are targeting black races. And the odd thing to me with Commissioner Boykin is that if you look at the speech that is floating all over Well, not all over because it's not that interesting to most people. But if you look at the speech that's presented on YouTube that he gave, as his explanation for wanting troops in Chicago, he even admits that the crime rate has gone down. Well, if the crime rate is going down, it seems to me you should do more of what you're doing, and what you're doing is definitely not bringing outside troops. But I think he's just a face. I mean, just like Bright. Whenever they want to tell you something about black people, they bring in a black actor, you know. Well, let me be more specific. Like the stupid movie out now with Will Smith, Bright, which I have tried to watch twice and I just can't do it. Well, the people, the orcs or whatever they're calling them, are really representing black people. And to mock us even further, they bring in a black actor and have him be one of the people who is racist against the orc. Well, it's the same, I think, or similar with this boykin. Whenever they want to attack the black race, they go get a black face to help them do it. The same thing happened with W.E.B. Du Bois and Margaret Sanger. When she wanted to convince black people that they were having too many children, she couldn't do it on her own. She had to go get somebody that black people trusted, which was W.E.B. Du Bois. Now, to me, W.E.B. Du Bois isn't even black, but they already covered that by telling you that anybody who has even a smidgen of black ancestry, that is, if you said 5 generations back, my mother looked at a black man, well, then you're automatically black. That's what got W.E.B. Du Bois in. And in any case, basically, what I'm saying is that when they're talking about surrounding cities, it's mostly black people in these cities. And I have been making videos of warning, saying that they're after you, and most people aren't paying very much attention. And I think that maybe, well, not maybe, I think this lady, this woman, is pretty much telling you the same thing. She's not coming right out saying, well, you dark people better watch out. No, she's saying that they're planning on coming after the cities. So if you look back at it, the Bible already told us cities were not good things, because they told you who made the first city. Cain. Told you that all the way in chapter 4. And let's see, chapter 4 verse 17. Well, first it tells you, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city, and he called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Okay, it told you right then. He didn't build the city till after he left the presence of the Lord. The Lord is not in cities. So, as the person who created them was evil, I think you're probably going to find a lot of evil in them. And the reason why they were made was basically as a form of slavery, so that instead of people relying on the Heavenly Father and the earth to grow the things that they needed, instead they went to cities and learned to rely on officials to come and give them what they needed. And I think this scripture, as an aside, also speaks that there were others present on this earth beside Cain. Because if you think about it, it says Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden. He knew his wife and bare Enoch and built a city. Okay, a city needs to have more than a man, a woman, and a child. I think that there were other people already there, but that's another story for another time. So when you go back to her video, she talks about how that is the plan, to get people so hungry, basically, that they riot, they fight, they're starving, and that they wind up basically taking the mark of the beast in order just to live in the city. And this is also from kind of like Revelation. So this is Revelations 13, 16, and 17. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their forehead.